In an age of skyrocketing divorce rates, is it really possible to make love last? Welcome to the Falling in Love Forever show with Doctors Barbara and Michael Grossman, the well-known relationship experts and best-selling authors of The Marriage Map book. Each week, they share the latest information to help you enjoy your romantic partnerships so you can fall in love forever. Here are your hosts, Doctors Barbara and Michael Grossman.
Hi, I'm Dr. Barbara Grossman. I'm an individual marriage and family therapist, and I'm here with my husband, Dr. Michael Grossman, who's a anti-aging physician who does all kinds of things from stem cell therapies to hormone replacement. And Michael, tell the audience what you do, because it's so neat.
Do everything it takes to stay young and vital throughout your entire life. So we do all kinds of nutritional things. We do, as you mentioned, stem cells, bioidentical hormones. We do male and female sexual dysfunction treatments. We do all kinds of rejuvenation for your face to keep your skin youthful so that you look like you're young. So those are the kind of things that we do.
And now we have a program for hair.
Hair rejuvenation. That's very, very effective.
So we're here today to continue our conversation about personality development over time, and how a man's development and a woman's development, how it unfolds, and how it works together to create falling in love forever. How you can grow your relationship over time and keep recreating your relationship and feeling deep love and understanding and satisfaction and do great things together. Today we're going to talk about men's development in the story of Percival and the Holy Grail. It's an old story, and like all ancient stories, it is expressed in mythic storyline. It's not in abstract thinking like modern psychology. It's in a story version, a story form that is essentially a hero story. So we have the hero story of a man's hero story, and we spoke last time about a woman's hero story, a heroine story, in the story of Psyche and Eros. So Michael, tell the audience, begin to tell the audience the story of Percival.
So Percival, the story begins, is a young man who was raised in the woods by his mother, because his mother was married to a great knight who got killed, and his mother wanted Percival to have nothing to do with knights. So Percival had this inner nature that he was really, really skilled, and he would throw his javelin at birds and kill them, and then feel really bad that he killed the bird. But he just liked that experience of throwing the javelin and having that sport. He just loved that. But he only grew up learning about birds and angels from his mother. And one day, two knights rode by on their horse, and they had all their knights in armor, and he thought they were angels and bowed down to them. And they said, "Why are you bowing down?" He said, "We're not angels." And they said, "We're knights." And he says, "Really? You're knights? Well, what's a knight?" He says, "Go to King Arthur's court and you'll find out about knights." And he says, "I want to be a knight." So he tells his mother, "I want to be a knight," and she faints. And then she decides that, all right, I'm going to show him what it is. So she says, "Okay, I'm going to dress you up to go and meet the knights." And he puts on sackcloth on him and gives him an old horse to ride, a barn horse that's really, really old and rickety. He says, "Go ahead and meet the knights." She figured that they'll be they'll just hate the way he looks, and they'll just get rid of him, and he'll never be a knight, and they won't want him. But so he rides off, and he doesn't know it, but his mother actually faints and dies after he rides off. So he rides there. He reaches King Arthur's court, and as he gets there, there's a big commotion going on, because one of the greatest knights in the world, the Red Knight, has thrown down his glove and said, "I demand a fight because I've been injured by King Arthur. He took some land from me that he shouldn't have, and I challenge him to a duel, or any of his knights to a duel, and no one wants to fight him because he's one of the greatest knights in the world. And Percival says, I'll fight him. And he's this rickety old nothing. I mean, the knight, the greatest knight in the world, looks at him, and as King Arthur, as Percival is coming towards him, he just hits him with his lance and knocks him off the horse. And Percival grabs his lance, his javelin that he's very good at throwing, and he's used to hitting the birds, and he throws the lance at the knight, hits him in the eye, and kills him. And all the knights are just like upset. They don't know what to do, because you're not allowed to do that kind of thing, and to kill another knight by throwing a lance, hitting him in the eye. You're supposed to have these rules and all this. And so they don't know what to do with him. So one of the knights take him and says, all right, let me explain to you the rules of knighthood. And he trains him in the rules of knighthood, and it takes a long time. But Percival learns all the rules. He has the inner skill to be one of the greatest knights in the world. His father was one of the greatest knights. And he has this natural skills in his own DNA to do that. But now he's learning the rules of how to be a great knight. And he becomes one of the greatest knights in the world. And he is so skilled in all the knight skills, and he learns the rules of knighthood. He's told he should marry another woman, but he doesn't want to marry someone for social graces who would lift him up and give him wealth. He just marries for love. So he finds a woman to marry just for love. And he goes on all these adventures, these knightly adventures, and he is so good about everything. He does all the right things. He wants to be the best knight in the world, do everything right.
Can I
add some things?
Yes. So I want you to notice that in Percival's development, his focus at this period of time is to grow his competence. He had natural talent, but it wasn't developed, and with the help of King Arthur's court, his natural talent is developed, plus his understanding of what it means to live in society is polished. He learns how to be appropriate. He learns to be responsible. He says the right thing. He does the right thing. And having elevated himself to that level of social convention and competence, he then marries. This is the story of a man in our society. It's told in the words of antiquity, but this is what young men go through in order to find their partner at this first stage.
So now he is acknowledged to be one of the greatest knights in the world, if not the greatest knight. And he has one escapade after the other of doing wonderful things and helping people and always doing good. And he is actually invited in to a magical Grail castle, which very rare does a knight get invited in. And what's happened in this Grail castle, it holds the Holy Grail. And the Holy Grail is this cup that has the holy water that's related to unfolding and seeing the holiness of God. And the king of the castle has been injured. His job is to maintain the Holy Grail and to uphold it and preserve it. But he's been injured, greatly injured, and he has a terrible injury, but he can't die because he's the king of the Holy Grail castle, and the Holy Grail supports him to be alive, but he's in terrible pain. And the castle's under a curse. And the curse is that everyone in the castle will have to just remain there in the castle and have to endure the king's pain along with him. And they're waiting for the greatest knight in the world to come into the castle. And when the greatest knight in the world will ask without being prodded, asked the king, what ails thee? Out of the concern of his heart, then the king will be healed and the whole castle will be relieved from this curse where they can not be under the spell, where they can just have normal lives once again. So here's Percival coming into this castle, and he's welcomed in, and the king of the castle welcomes him in. Please come in, O great knight, and come sit down with us. And they talk, and Percival is wondering, the king is in pain. He's suffering, and he wonders why he's suffering. But he knows, he's been taught social behavior for a knight. You don't ask questions unless someone asks you first. That's the social convention. He's learned that. He's really into social convention. He wants to be the greatest knight. And so he won't ask the king anything about the pain that is obvious the king is having, because he's into doing the right thing for social convention's sake. The whole night goes by. Everyone is very pleasant to him. And he wakes up in the morning, and Percival sees the whole castle's empty because they're under a spell. They go back away. Everyone is gone. There's nobody there. He rides around the castle. He can't find anybody. He leaves the castle and he's gone. And then the whole castle disappears, and he's riding around. And then he's told by a seer that you have failed in your quest. You were supposed to ask a question to the king that came from your heart, and you didn't do it. You messed up. You lost your opportunity to heal the whole castle, and you're a failure.
So what can we say about this part of the story? So here is Percival. He has attained competence. He's learned how to be socially appropriate. But now we find that what he's learned is not sufficient. He's not able to speak from his heart and be intimate with the Grail Castle king. And so his development needs a lot more. And so the next leg of the story is what Percival does to attain that more. And that's the story of all men, that they grow in competence, they know how to be responsible and appropriate, but it's not enough for their lives. It's not enough for relationship. They need to learn how to be intimate.
So now Percival has been humiliated. He is humiliated for the whole world who sees him, that he has failed in this quest. And Percival is angry. He's angry at everybody. He's angry at God. He did everything he's supposed to do, but it wasn't enough. And so he goes into this angry mode, this depressed mode. He's very unhappy. He's very depressed. He's still a great knight. He still has all these skills, but he's just depressed. And he goes through years of being angry and depressed. And then eventually he finds and talks to a priest who is a retired priest, but tells him about the story of his life, because the priest knows the whole story of Percival. And the priest tells him his story of who his father was. He didn't know about his father. The priest tells him about how his mother passed away when he rode off. The priest tells him about all the events of his life, how there was nothing that was by chance. All these things happen, and they happen for a purpose. And Percival realizes that there's a bigger picture to his life than what he was thinking of. And he realizes that his job now is to forgive everyone in his life that he feels has hurt him or disappointed him or upset him. And he goes through his life and he thinks about all the things that's happened and all the things that people have held grudges against, that he was unhappy with and angry about and resentful and withholding his own love for them. And through that process, he grows and develops and changes his whole, how he experiences his heart. And he has an interaction with another knight who is one of the greatest knights in the world, and they have this big fight. And Percival's knight, his sword breaks, and the other knight could have killed him, but says, "No, I don't kill people who are unarmed." And he lets him. He gets off his horse, and they talk together. And Percival finds out that this knight was actually his half brother. And Percival gains a sense of humility because he didn't defeat this other knight, and he has this sense of humility, and that brings him up to a new level of inner growth. And then he is welcomed back once again, even though it was impossible. He was told over and over again, no one gets back to the Grail Castle. Once you've been welcomed in and you fail, you never get back. But they welcomed him back in to the Grail Castle because he had reached this level of development. And as he gets back into the Grail Castle, what does he do when he sees the Grail King? He says, "What ails thee, O King?" And then the king tells him the whole story of what happened that created him being injured like this. And the Grail King is so happy to have Percival be there. He says, "I now welcome you to be the next Grail King, and I am going to retire." And Percival accepts this position, welcomes his wife to join him, and he becomes the next Grail King.
I love this part of the story. It's so moving when a man who's competent and successful decides to grow beyond that and reflect on his life and forgive all of his hurts, and to really learn about his self and what was good about his past, what was difficult about his life and his past, and forgive everybody and integrate his heart with his mind. Up until now, his mind has been so effective, so powerful, so able to attain all kinds of goals. But here is the development of the heart that gains equal accomplishment and integration in his personality with his mind. And he becomes truly a pleasure, a joy, a gift to all others. And he's acknowledged as the next Grail King. And this is a man who has really taken on life and decided to grow the distance. And this is the kind of man that we women want to have in our lives, because he graces us with not just his support, but his love. And it's such a beautiful thing for everybody in the family and everybody in the community. This is the goal of development.
So now you have the story of Percival, and there's a lot to be said for personalizing these stories and seeing how it applies to your own individual experience in your own life. And men have many different layers to go through, as do women. And these stories inspire us. And we encourage you to think about taking our class and Falling in Love Forever, because we inspire you to go through these stages. We inspire you with skills, and we inspire you with stories, and we inspire you with making your own relationships move you and lift you into these higher stages of life.
Can I mention that the story of Percival could also be the story of women who decide to make career first in their lives. So the story is not solely about a man's development. It could easily be about a woman who chooses to be competent and successful first before she partners with a man. And so these stories can be adapted to the way you've chosen to create your life. And it's just important that we take responsibility for our growth and evolve over the course of time into fully integrated personalities, so that we can grace ourselves with a full heart and a full mind, and connect with our partners and raise our children and be solid members of the community.
So we encourage you to go online to the Marriage Map, which is our website, get a lot of information. Go online to look at taking our class in personal development and Falling in Love Forever, which is found at fallinginloveforever.com. And we look forward to spending time with you again in another week. So thanks so much for being with us.
Wishing you love.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the Falling in Love Forever show with Doctors Barbara and Michael Grossman. Join us next week for another informative discussion to help you keep your love alive. Be sure to visit us at themarriagemap.com or find out about our relationship classes at fallinginloveforever.com.